The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, once again, for the 26th day in a row, it is the 90 Days of Boxing live series here on True School Sports. It continues. Don't matter how excited I am, tired I am, regardless, the work gets done. So good to be here. Shout out to everyone out there in the world. I know it's Valentine's Day, right? So happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there in the world. If you're spending time with your significant other or getting ready to, or you already did, happy Valentine's Day. Do happy Valentine's Day to all the single folks out there. Love yourself. Remember to love yourself. Remember to, find love, not just in yourself, but, through the man upstairs, the Lord, right? So we here gonna talk some boxing. If y'all got any questions, y'all could ask. Just to talk to you guys, like, I guess, about some things going on with me today. So today we were here in Vegas. Me and my boy Eric Lantis Jr. went down to good old Mayweather gym today. Got a little sparring in. It was good. It was good work. Got about 6 rounds of sparring in. Saw Carmel Moulton do some work a little bit. It was good. Got a couple interviews too. I wound up interviewing Carmel. Wound up interviewing Jeff Mayweather. So stay tuned for that. That'll be out in the channel in the coming days once I'm able to edit it. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be going down to LA and to cover the Jojo Diaz fight on Golden Boy, and then my boy Eric is going to be out there sparring some guys as well. So things keep going. Things continue to march on here on True School Sports. But listen, y'all got any questions? Y'all drop them down below. Shout out to my man Dave with the first comment of the live. He says, "Salute BT, happy Valentine's Day." No, yeah, happy Valentine's Day to you too, I guess, right? Happy Consumerism Day, because really and truthfully, like you shouldn't need a designated day, to tell someone you love them. Like, if you're for my men out there, if you're with a woman, right? You got you got your anniversary, you got their birthday, you got Mother's Day. They already got like 3 other days for you to tell them you love them or show them you love them. So I guess, it's my opinion. I got my opinions on Valentine's Day, but nonetheless, here we are. David says, Chop Corley can give you the rundown. The rundown of what? Of what, David? Like today, I'll tell you this, man. Today I was in the Mayweather gym. It was great. Good work today. Shout out to the fine folks down there, like Jeff Mayweather, Otis, all them guys, man. Carmel's father, shout out to him. I got a chance to meet him for the first time today. Apparently he's a fan of the channel, so shout out to Carmel Moulton Senior, or whatever his actual name is. He was really, really cool. And yeah, David S says, "Chop, you're saying no sex while training." Yeah, man. That's how it should be, man. You gotta keep your essence, your valuable seed. You can't just be out here wasting it. It's difficult though. I know being here in Vegas, which is Sin City, or being where we're from in South Florida, that shit is hard. You got to be a real disciplined professional. But as far as boxing is concerned today, I didn't even really check the news. So maybe y'all can put me on game. What was going on in the news today? I've been so busy that I ain't even really looked at the news like that. But one interesting story from yesterday. Now I was here yesterday. I was gonna talk about this yesterday, but I completely I forgot to talk about it yesterday. So I'm gonna talk about it today. All right. Now it was reported on Instagram via Bob Santos himself, the esteemed trainer, that apparently he's not gonna be training. He's not gonna be training Alberto Ochoa anymore. If you guys don't know who Alberto Ochoa is this guy who was a reality TV star. He took Kylie Jenner to prom. He became a boxer. He was taking it real serious. He was training with Bob Santos for the longest time. Well, apparently he's not training with Bob Santos anymore because I guess he was running up Bob Santos' credit card without his knowledge, and Bob felt some type of way about that. So he will not be training him anymore. So Alberto Ochoa got to go find something else to do. I had a chance to meet Alberto Ochoa at the WBA convention out there in Orlando. I talked to him like a solid hour and a half, like just man to man, talked to him for an hour, picking his brain, seeing I guess he also, he was moving. I guess he was moving mad. He was moving mad behind closed doors, and now he's got to go find himself a new trainer. So that's why, guys, you got to have integrity. You can't be out here doing people dirty. That's why, like with me, right, I try to treat everybody with like as much integrity and respect as possible, because you just never know how that stuff comes back around to you. Because as you reap, as you sow, so shall you reap later on. I believe in that. I'm a firm believer in that, right? So David says the LDBC is going to claim that Subriel Matias is ducking Gary Antoine Russell. You can't duck someone that's not even active. Gary Antoine Russell can't even get fights, or he's getting fights. They say, I don't know, but they say he's been getting fight offers, but he's been turning them down. So you can't duck someone that's not even actively out here fighting. But good for Subriel Matias. Subriel Matias, he gets that promotional back that he needs in his career, because he's one of these guys that Eddie Hearn is gonna talk. He's gonna now start putting the narrative out there that Matias is the most ducked and avoided man in the 140 division. And look, I think it's gonna be awesome. I think Subriel Matias is gonna give Eddie Hearn his best effort, and Eddie Hearn is gonna give Subriel Matias his best effort, and that could only bode well for both parties involved. But look, man, there's 11 of you guys here. Listen, man, run them likes up. If there's 11 of you here, there should be 11 likes. So don't be stingy. Smash that like button so the live gets out to as many people as possible, and we can celebrate, this new national holiday in boxing, which is 90 days of boxing. I'm gonna do this every year, because it really, really is challenging. It's challenged me every single day to come on here and talk, even when I don't want to. Being professional. Practicing what I preach. And 26 days in, I ain't folded yet. So good to be here. What else going on in boxing? But yeah, I'll tell you guys this. While I'm sitting here looking at other boxing news, I'll tell you guys this. I had a chance to watch Carmel Moten spar today, and I'm not going to, give his whole play away or give everything I saw in sparring today. But, man, I seen that kid fight in the amateurs back in early 2022 at the Eastern qualifiers in Ohio, back in Cleveland when I was with Sean Porter out there, when I thought, I was going to be doing stuff with amateur boxing champions. Well, I saw him there, and he stood out back then, just a real aggressive precision power puncher, but he's got so many layers to how he goes about things. And I saw him spar today, man. I gotta tell you, man, that kid's real good. That kid, I knew he was good, but he's even matured since the time I seen him in 2022. There's so many things he does like really well in there. Versatile, aggressive fighter. Even the way, like, the thing that really impressed me about Carmel, it wasn't even the punches. It wasn't the punches. It wasn't like, even how he pivoted or his punching power or anything like that. It was actually like, when he was in there sparring, just sparring certain guys, just the way he was able to at times slow the pace down. Like he knew when to speed it up, slow it down at such a young age. So yeah, man, that's what impressed me about Carmel Moten watching him spar. Shout out to Al the Pow. He says Valentine's tip: be like water, run through these holes. Hey, Al the Pow. First and foremost, Al, I appreciate you for the super chat. And nah, I'm not gonna run through these holes, man. Guys, let me know if the internet is good, because I know I'm chopping in and out right now. So let me know if you guys can see me, because like things being a little bit weird right now. So let me know. But he said you could bring this idea to Top Rank to make that Dodger Stadium dream come true. Suggested them to make that fight pay-per-view in Japan. Inoue never had pay-per-view in Japan. This is the perfect opportunity. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm supposed to go to the Top Rank gym at some point soon. So when I go there and I get a chance to see some people there, maybe I'll run and buy them. I was actually supposed to go to the Top Rank gym today. We actually went today to go train at Top Rank gym, but then what's his name? The gym was closed because they're doing repairs for like about another week. So no Top Rank gym today. But that would be a hell of an idea, We got my main man, Jesus M, in the building. He says, Saludos, BT. Good to see you, Jesus. Hope all is well. Good to see you as always. I'm going to check the boxing news, man, because I just been so busy. I've been so busy running around. Apparently, wow. So apparently, I'm on boxing scene right now. Apparently, Gilberto Zorro Ramirez is going to be fighting that WBA cruiserweight fight against Arsen Goulamirian. That'll be March 30th, and that'll be in LA. That's dumb. That's, in my opinion, that's bad. That's bad business. That's dumb on the part of Golden Boy Promotions, because Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman is that same day in Las Vegas. That fight is going to be way more attractive and way more appealing than Zoro Ramirez, but I guess they're gonna bank on the fact that Zoro Ramirez has the big Mexican fan base, and it'll be Zoro's chance to become a two division champion, and also for the second time to become the first Mexican something. He was the first Mexican to win a super middleweight title. Now he's gonna try to become the first Mexican to win a cruiserweight title. So good for him. Look, Gulamarian, he's been one of these guys that's really and truthfully been one of the most irrelevant champions in boxing. He hasn't been active. I know he had contractual issues, contractual disputes, and things like that. So, it was tough. It was tough for him. But good to see that they're active. David says, I watched the first part of your live yesterday. I gave Liam Wilson a slight chance to beat Valdez. Not much, though. I think Valdez is just way more durable. Yeah, I haven't, sat down and done my official, film study breakdown that I like to do before fights. But I think he's a very live dog in that fight. Valdez, ever since Valdez got Reynoso, he's been a fighter that he becomes really reliant upon being the aggressive counterpuncher, right? And a lot of times, he even saw in the Navarrete fight and in other fights he's had, if he lands that one big shot, if you're not affected, you don't get hurt by it. If you can take even the counter shots he lands, you can beat him. And that's why I think Liam Wilson will have a great chance of beating him, because I think Liam Wilson is just durable enough to do that. So we'll see. Jesus M says, Arson versus Gilbert Ramirez confirmed. Do you think it'll be good? Yeah, I think Gulamarian, I haven't followed him the closest. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I know that Gulamarian has been the champion for a long time, hasn't been the most active. This is a big fight for him, and I think, for a lot of people, this might be their first and only time they hear anything about no damn Arson Gulamarian. So it'll be a chance for him to make some noise here in the States and become a bigger name in the sport, But yeah, man, we here. Date number 25, man. 26. Date number 26. 90 days of boxing. Can't believe it. It's flying by. Really and truthfully, it's flying by. But I'll be in LA tomorrow. I'm not sure how long I'll be there, but I'll be there. And I'll be covering the Jojo Diaz fight tomorrow. Funny enough, right, I was doing a little bit of research for the fight. And Jojo Diaz is fighting this guy, this Mexican. His name is Jesus Ricky Perez. So apparently, Jesus Ricky Perez, for this fight, he was 200 pounds. And he got all the way down from 200 pounds to 135 for this fight. So good on him, A lot of people can't even do that in an entire lifetime, let alone an 8-week camp. So best wishes to him. From all accounts, from everybody I've seen talk about him in boxing, they say that he's gonna be ready to fight, and he's gonna be ready to go out there and put on a good show. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing two of South Florida's very own represented on the card, Eric and Sasha Tudor. Hopefully they both go in there and do their thing. But Jesus Perez, he's 24-5. Let me see. Let's check under the hood a little bit of this Jesus Perez, because I didn't have a chance to really look at him, see what he's done, who he's fought. So Jesus Perez, he's been kind of everywhere. He's fought as high as 47. He's fought Alexis Rocha. He fought Brian Newman Jr. He fought Danielito Zorilla. He's taking everybody the distance. So he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good, Jesus Perez. He hasn't beaten nobody too good, but he's been able to be durable and get these opportunities. So I'm looking forward to it. Jojo was coming off a 3-fight losing streak. He got thrown in against Jerry Perez, and then he actually wound up beating Jerry Perez. And then now if he wins this fight, he'll be on a 2-fight winning streak. And then I think Golden will probably try to line him up with Floyd Schofield or something like that, because that's the kind of step up that they were already talking about. But he wins this, now he's on a 2-fight winning streak. It looks better on Floyd's resume if he wins this fight. So we'll see. David says Valdez got swollen up easily, but Valdez has enough power to hurt William Wilson. Yeah, he does. But I think if Liam takes if he's able to take those counter shots that he's gonna get landed on him at some point, I think he's durable enough to win the fight. And then David said, I put my money on Jojo to go the distance. Not a lot though. Yeah, man. We'll see how it goes. Perez is he goes the distance with everybody. So I'll tell you this, David. If you bet on this fight, he has 18 knockouts. But when he's fought the more known names, the guys at world level like the Rochas and the Brian Normans and the Zorillas, He's gone the distance with all those guys, and they've all been pretty much wide scorecards, with the only exception being his fight against Brian Norman Jr. He actually gave Brian Norman Jr. a close and competitive fight. And honestly, like Brian Norman, I know a top ranked sign Brian Norman Jr. I know he's from Atlanta. I think Brian Norman, even with 25 fights, he's still like he needs so much work because when I seen him fight Quentin Randall, yeah, he needs a lot of work. But I mean, how much work could he really get? I mean, his next fight is on the. I'm actually gonna be at his next fight, Brian Norman Jr. So Brian Norman's next fight is gonna be on that Odebek Komatov versus Raymond Ford fight, all the way up there in upstate New York. I'm planning on being there. So Brian Norman against Janelson Figueroa. That's a good step up fight for him. And Figueroa, I was at Figueroa's last fight when he fought Alberto Palmetta on Pro Box, and it's just like Figueroa's an interesting fighter. You know, I know I'm kind of going everywhere now. I started talking about Jesus Perez. Now I'm talking about Janelson Figueroa. But these things happen here on True School Sports. Janelson Figueroa was a promising prospect. I remember he got ranked like in the top 15. And then he started having subpar performances. You know, I thought he lost to Shinar Bunch. He was lucky to get a draw. And then the losses started raining. You know, he lost to Villa, lost to Palmetta. So really, this is a fight for Figueroa, Boca Chica, where he's got to really go in there and upset the apple cart. Because if he doesn't, he's just going to be B-side the rest of his career. This is his chance to turn his career around. So that's actually a good little fight. You know, while I'm sitting here, I might as well just look at the undercard for that. Since we're talking about the Ford Komatov undercard, I haven't even looked at it. David says, I think it sucks that a TV network won't cover the Nunez Rakamal fight. I have to work that day, though. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to watch that fight too because now there's not even a Fury and Usyk fight, so like the 17th kind of a free day in boxing. Jesus says, BT, you should check out that interview Eddie Reynoso did in Spanish where he mentions that if they must protect Canelo in matches, that are in Canelo's best interest. Well, I don't gotta watch that. I will watch it, but it's not really surprising because Eddie Reynoso, he acts as Canelo's not just trainer, but he's also his manager. I mean, I've known that for years, and it shows. It shows in the opponent selection because obviously Eddie's in the gym with him every day. So who's gonna know Canelo's strengths and weaknesses better than his own coach that he's been with since he was a kid? You know, so that's why they don't fight certain types of styles. You know, and when they do, they make sure that fighter is a little past it. It's just management. By the way, I mean tomorrow, guys, is the quote unquote big announcement, and today, I think it was yesterday, might have been today. I know Jamal Charlo came out and said that pretty much he ruled it out. He said he hasn't been confirmed by PBC. He hasn't been contacted by them about making the fight happen. So if there's any truth to that, and he's not just saying that, you know, Canelo said he's not fighting Munguia. Charlo's ruling himself out. So really, the only. And he said it's an American, so that only leaves you with Terrence Crawford and Dave Benavidez. So, look, I think if it's one of those two, I think the boxing fans are going to be happy for the most part because the Crawford fight, as I've said many times, has a lot of mainstream appeal. You know, I think my boy Sean Patel kind of said it best on Fight Hype. Shout out to him. He said that fight would be the fight to determine whose era is it truly, right? Because some people say it's the Crawford era. Some people say it's the Canelo era. That's how that fight is probably going to be sold, right? And Crawford will be moving up 3 weight classes to do it, which I think is absolutely crazy. But again, if he wins, he's like on another level. As far as Benavidez, that's the fight that since I've been coming to Vegas, I vividly remember being here in Vegas, Canelo Plant Fight Week, and hearing about that fight back then. And we're still hearing about it. So hopefully, for the public's sake, that Canelo gives the public what they want and gives them Benavidez. And also so Crawford could fight someone closer to his weight. Because I'd rather see Crawford fight Tim Tszyu or even like Jaron Ennis. But, you know, the Jaron Ennis thing, you know, he's going through a lawsuit right now. And, you know, his name's not the biggest. So Crawford has that whole narrative that he's going to go with. So, at minimum, just give me the Tim Tszyu fight. Because he's the top guy at 54. He's the guy that, you know, has a world title in a weight class he's never been champion in. So that fight to me would be great. But I don't make the decisions. I'm just a boxing fan with a channel. Maybe it's Virgil. No, no, can't be. No way. Point fire. Shout out to you, champ. He says love and respect from Scarborough, Toronto. Shout out to Toronto. Yeah, today the dude I seen that mail today that was part of my boy. He was from Toronto. I forgot his name. He has a brother though, who I just seen fight on Pro Box. Good little fighter. I can't remember his name. But I know his last name's like Tonson or Tonison or something like that. He has a brother who I seen fight on Pro Box, but I don't know what I forgot what his name was. But he's just slick, can box a little bit. David said Canelo isn't going to fight Benavidez. Ah, if he's saying he's fighting an American, I mean, we'll see. Who else? Who else could it be? Who else is at 68? What's he gonna do? The Caleb Plant rematch? He gonna fight Matt. Hey, could you guys imagine if he fights Andrade at this point? Like all these years, I was complaining and moaning about him fighting Andrade, and then Andrade gets beat up by Benavidez, and now he's like, yeah, this guy was a champion. They say I don't want to fight with him, and then he fights Andrade. That'd be crazy. Lance Meyer, what's good? He said, True School Sports. What's good, Lance? Good to see you. David wants to know, what kind of shot would you give Virgil Ortiz against Canelo? Like, GGG, he's got a ramrod jab. He's got one of the best jabs in the business. Listen, anybody that he's close to the same size as, I'll always give Virgil Ortiz a chance because I think his jab is one of the best in boxing. Everyone talks about just the fact that he got all these knockouts, but they're not talking about the process and how he's getting the knockouts. He's getting these knockouts just boxing. He's not looking for the knockouts. They're just coming because he has a way of working behind that jab and placing his shots. So as far as him fighting Canelo, we know Canelo don't like we know Canelo doesn't necessarily generally doesn't tend to fare well against fighters with world-class jabs, i.e. Bivol, Floyd, Golovkin. Those guys all have that in common. Have you seen what they did with that Sir Boxing Club in St. Paul, Minnesota? No, I don't even know that gym, but what do they do with it? Inform me. No, I mean that wouldn't surprise me, David. Carlos Adames, but if they're saying Canelo's fighting an American, that obviously was Adames because he's as Dominican can get. I mean, he can do. That's not happening. But that is always a fight that I thought would happen at some point. It's a beautiful. Okay, well, I guess whenever I go to Minnesota, what was it called? It's called the Sir Boxing Club. Whenever I go to Minnesota, which I mean, I don't know when that's going to be because it wasn't anywhere on my agenda for 2024. But look, boxing can change on the drop of a dime. If I ever go to Minnesota, we'll go visit it. But yeah, I kind of wanted to get back to the whole. I want to get back to the whole like the Odebeck Ford undercard because I'm looking at it right now, and there's a couple interesting fights on here. Obviously, you got Rhea A versus Fernando Lopez, which is the other title fight, which I'm really excited about. Rohan Polanco is back in action. He hasn't fought since he fought down in South Florida when he beat up Keith Hunter. But I know Top Rank is high on him. He's a Dominican Olympian. He's fighting Tariq Zaina, and I know this guy. I think he's from Albania or Mexico or Morocco. Yeah, I've seen this guy fight before on a random card. I can't remember what card I've seen him fight on, but Rohan Polanco should run through that dude. I watched him fight before. I forgot who he sparred. I think he sparred like one of the Mexican welterweights down there, and he's not anything too crazy. They picked him for a reason, but he's got a good record: 13-0-1, 8 knockouts. He's a Moroccan fighter who trains in Mexico. That's why I remember him. You got him. You got Duke Reagan versus Brandon Valdez. Now that's a good fight, and Duke Reagan's an interesting one because Duke's one of these guys that was an Olympian. He was a silver medalist. You look at his record, he's 9-0 with 1 knockout. He's not a big puncher. And I felt for a while like Duke can box. Duke is good. Duke definitely hasn't been fed soft opposition. He's been fed live bodies, But I felt like Duke's a lost waiting to happen, honestly. Like, I felt that way for like his last 3 fights. And Brandon Valdez, while he's not no world beater, he's not no great fighter. Like Valdez, he's been there with some good fighters, top fighters. Like he just fought Ruben Villa. He fought a very big 130-pounder in Jordan White to a split decision loss. He's been there with Obasi. So Um, really and truthfully, I think on paper at least, Brandon Valdez is probably Duke Reagan's most, you know, experienced opponent in the professionals. But it's a decent card. I mean, really, there's not any like bangers. There's no undercard like sleepers, on this card. It's just solid fights, nothing too crazy. Brandon Moore is in action. Cashflow Diaz is in action. Troy Isley's fighting Marcos Hernandez. Another his second consecutive Hernandez. He fought Vladimir Hernandez last time. Now he's fighting Marco Hernandez. So he's gonna keep feeding him Hernandez's. But they better, if they're the same weight class, they better never feed my boy Luis Hernandez from Homestead. That's different weight class. He ain't even pro yet. Shout out to Lewis. Is Floyd Schofield challenge Shakur? Is it real or a publicity stunt? He can challenge him till the cows come home. Golden Boy ain't making that damn fight. That's just a way to keep his name in the headlines. And Floyd Schofield, like the guys he needs to probably worry about fighting a little more, just because it's like closer to him in experience and age, is like Ashton Silva, Ernesto Mercado, them kind of guys. Shakur Stevenson is not fighting no damn Floyd Schofield. And look, as I've stated many times before, Golden Boy Promotions, they're a company that doesn't have the amount of young star talent like a Top Rank or a PBC. So they're always going to be a bit more cautious with their fighters just because they can't afford to lose as much. So no, they're not making that fight. Look for Floyd Schofield. If JoJo is victorious tomorrow, look for Floyd Schofield to fight JoJo Diaz later on in the year. That's a fight that was already being discussed, that was already talked about. So yeah. But yeah, make sure y'all keep them questions coming in. Let's see what else happened in boxing today. I know. I saw Deontay Wilder's comments too. Like he was talking about the Joseph Parker fight, and that was a fight where I wasn't surprised when he lost. I picked him to lose that fight because I just knew style-wise it was always a bad matchup for him. But he said about Joseph Parker, and I quote, "It was a boring fight. He really didn't do anything. I'm ready for whoever now." And I don't know how I could say Joseph Parker didn't do anything because Joseph Parker outworked him. Joseph Parker literally clipped him with about anywhere from 15 to 20 straight right hands and put him on his back foot, He turned Deontay Wilder into a back foot boxer, and he had no answer for Joseph Parker. As far as what he could do next, look, I think for Wilder, if he's going to continue to fight, the only fight that should happen for him at this point is Anthony Joshua. Them two just need to fight just so they can have it on record and, just not have that what if. It'll be a bit of a similar situation to like what Kell Brook and Amir Khan was, but at least we can say, what happened. We got to see them fight, and it'll be cool. It'll be good for the sport, and I still think people would tune in for it. And I don't think it is now what it could have been. Had they just fought, before Wilder lost to Parker, or even when they're both undefeated, when they're both in their prime. But it's still a good fight for the sport, and people would care. People will watch. David says, I can't really question Devin Haney's street credibility because he's friends with one of my favorite rappers, which is CML Lavish D. Who the hell is CML Lavish D? Eric, y'all, do you know who CML Lavish D is? Rapper? I don't know. I never heard of him. So David, you put me on game. I don't know who that is. But I guess he's friends with Devin, so that's why you like him. So he said, I'm not a fan of Haney as far as a fighter standpoint. I mean, I like Haney. He's good. He's not. I mean, there's a lot worse boxers. I mean, Haney's a top talent. I like him more at 140 than I liked him at 35. What's your least favorite of the major boxing sanctioning bodies? My least favorite? I don't know if I have a least favorite. I think they're all. There's pros and cons with all of them. But I guess if I had to pick one, probably the WBC, just because I don't think any sanctioning body on earth changes their rules as they go quite as much as the WBC. So I'll go with them. How do you have a clean boxing program with a list of banned substances, right? A fighter tests positive for one of the banned substances, and then you say, nah, they're good. If they like the fighter, they try to find ways to to justify why that they tested positive, right? But it doesn't matter why they tested positive. The reality is they tested positive. So I don't know. It's probably WBC, but the WBA is full of it. They have they probably have more secondary titles than any sanctioning body in boxing. Um, their rankings are real funny, and I've had a first-hand experience with the WBA rankings. I can literally tell you guys, like, and I won't say it live, but I know how these rankings work, and like I was at the convention, and I know the people that run the committees and stuff like that. Um, WBA, man, like I'll give you an example, right? Trayshawn Wiggins, right? We'll use a fighter that I know and that I actually helped petition for to get a higher ranking, right? Trayshawn Wiggins, when I went to the convention, Trayshawn Wiggins was sitting at 15, right? So he was 15th in the WBA rankings. He's the NABA champion, which is like it's a subsidiary title, like a regional title within the WBA. So if you win the title, and if you win the title, that gets you like standing in the rankings, right? Or it's supposed to. If you defend it, that gets you standing in the rankings. So Wiggins won the belt. He's defended that belt 3 times. He's been one of the most active welterweights in their rankings. So they initially moved him from 15 to 12, right? Then from 15, so he goes from 15 to 12. Then when they updated the rankings again recently, he then gets bumped down to 14. And then Adrian Broner, who wasn't even in the rankings, just magically out of nowhere pops in at number 8. So it's like the sanctioning bodies are no different than like the politics on Capitol Hill. There's a whole bureaucracy and a whole thing that goes along with that, and all the fighters can do is just fight and make sure they put the right people behind them to make sure that they can talk to these people and shake hands and kiss babies in politics, because you can be the best fighter in the world, but if you can't get in the position to get the fights that you need to progress your career forward, then you're going to be behind the 8 ball your whole career. It's just how it goes. But the WBA, the IBF has a rehydration clause, which, for these fighters that like to, really suck themselves down in weight, it causes them to avoid fighting in eliminators and world title fights, so it stagnates the division sometimes. So there's that with the IBF. The WBO, the WBO is just mad cool with top rank. So they all got the things about them. You just got to know what you're looking at. And thankfully, I know a little bit. That's the best way I can answer that question, Falling Star. So now we got my man Point Fire. He's asking me a question. He said, did you sweep your crush off her feet today and give her a dozen? No, I didn't do none of that, man. My crush is boxing. I'm going to quote Floyd Mayweather. Floyd said in 24/7 one time, he said, boxing is my girlfriend. So if that's the case, then yeah, I did. I went to the gym today. I went to Mayweather gym. I made some content. It was a normal day for me today. Nah, man, my crush, we're going to chill out. Leave her alone. Worry about this boxing. Worry about, the mind the business that pays you. So that's what I'm doing. And that's what it is. But hopefully you guys had a nice Valentine's Day, and you guys swept your crushes off their feet, Valentine's Day is it's an interesting holiday to me. I've always had interesting views on it. Even when I have had girlfriends in the past, I've always had like interesting views on it. What do you guys think about Valentine's Day? Because I just think like if you're with a woman, like you got your anniversary, you got their birthday, you got Mother's Day if they have kids or whatever. It's like they already got now they got International Women's Day, so that's like 4 days a year, not including Valentine's Day. See what else we got. Lance said that it's a beautiful facility. Listen. One thing about me is when I go to new cities, I love going to their gyms and checking it out, because you never know who you're gonna see in there. You never know like who's the diamond in the rough that you might run into in these gyms. And I've always been a big fan of like fighter development and seeing how fighters like grow. And I always know that in every part of the world, there's always somebody somewhere out there in the world that nobody's heard of. That's probably a monster, but nobody's just discovered them yet. So I always get intrigued by like when I go to gyms, who might I see, and I'm, you guys know I have this ambition to be a manager one day, and I'm getting, good experience with that. So, yeah. What did the dome look like in real life? You talking about the Sphere, the Vegas Sphere? So it's nice. I mean, I've never been inside of it, but I've driven by it. It's a nice facility. I know that There have been discussions. There are a lot of fighters here in Vegas and around the world that want to fight in the Sphere. It's like one of the it's the newest like venue in Vegas. A couple years ago it was Resorts World, but now Resorts World's been a thing for a couple years. So now you don't really hear much about Resorts World as much. So now it's all about the Sphere, and I'm sure if they build another property here in Vegas, it'll be another one in a couple years. That's just how it goes. But I really wish one thing that somebody asked me recently was like, what's my favorite casino or hotel in Vegas? Because there's a lot of them, and they're all very nice. My favorite casino and hotel in Vegas is like one of the only ones that doesn't have fights, and it's actually one of the older ones too. Because I just think it's like one of the classiest places in Vegas, which is the Wynn Hotel. The Wynn Hotel is amazing, and I remember it was like a year ago. They were saying that Steve Wynn, the guy that the hotel was named after, the reason why they don't do fights there is because I guess him and Bob Arum, because that's who wanted to have fights there was Arum. And Bob Arum, they could never see eye to eye, so he just decided there would be no like event center there. So it's one of the only casinos and hotels in Vegas where there's no like all-purpose event center. It's literally just a hotel and a casino, but it's nice in there, you know. Sean Porter used to have his podcast in there at the. They have a studio in the casino, so people can walk by it and see it. It's called the Blue Wire Studio. So I went there. I've been there like 3 times. I actually hosted a whole episode with Sean Porter, as many of you guys know, last year, and it was just amazing. I loved it. Do you follow any of the Thai elite boxers? I mean, Rung Vasai had a good run for a while. I know Rung Vasai is still active, but he hasn't really fought anybody in a long time. But other than Rung Vasai, I mean, I know you had like Amnat Ruin Wrong back in the day, but I can't think of any, like, you tell me who are like the elite Thailand fighters now, because I haven't heard about too many. But I know, like, you got if you go way down there in weight to like 105 pounds, you got what's his name, Knockout CP Freshmart, who's the I think the IBF or WBO champion. And, you know, he hadn't really fought, like, anybody of note in the division. But he's been champion for a long time. I think he might actually be the longest reigning champion in boxing. But I'm not, you know, don't quote me on that. I know he's up there, though. What happened to Madrimov fighting Magomed Kurbanov, the Russian Canelo Alvarez, that should have about 3 losses? I have no idea, man. Madrimov's like the odd man out in the 154 division, because 154 is a division that's ruled mostly by, like, you know, like PBC, Al Haymon fighters. So he's always had a hard time getting fights. And he's from Uzbek. He's an Uzbek fighter who don't speak English. So, you know, them guys like the Ergashevs, the Madrimovs, the Otabek Komatovs, these guys are not getting no, like, big notable fights until they become mandatory challenger, because it's just how it goes with them. The only way I think Uzbeks are going to be able to start combating, you know, getting mistreated in boxing is they got to actually learn English. They got to actually develop a relationship with the audience, and that's about it. But until that happens, you know, these Uzbek fighters, like, much like the Kazakhs, you know, Kazakhstan fighters, they're always going to be, you know, those type of guys that are labeled as high risk, low reward straight out the gate, because they got 300, 400 amateur fights. They're normally at least solid at minimum. They're solid, and, you know, who wants to fight those guys when they can fight somebody else weaker for more money, more likely? He says, support the woke movement. You're saying you supported the woke movement? Okay, shout out to you. But yeah, man, we're like 40 minutes deep, so keep the questions going, guys. Let me see, what else we got? Because we might make this just a shorter live today, because I got to be awake early tomorrow. And honestly, truthfully, guys, there's not a ton happening in boxing. I mean, I know, like, Oshaki Foster's fighting Friday against Abraham Nova. That's a good fight. I did see a little bit. My friend was showing me earlier. My friend Eli was showing me earlier that apparently, I guess Oshaki wanted to fight Nova a long time ago, but I guess Nova was up here, and his hype was big, and Oshaki wasn't really, you know, he wasn't a name yet, and he kind of big timed him. So now he said the tables are turning. That's why, you know, he's happy the fight's happening, but they got history. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Nova does, because Nova can punch, Nova can crack. He's experienced. I know he's been in there with a lot of good, solid fighters in camp. Like he was Teofimo sparring partner, I think, for the Loma fight, or a couple fights. What are you talking about, Lance? You're all over. What are you talking about? You're saying Florida ? BT. We saying You're saying I was ignorant. Support. I don't know nothing you're talking about. You're talking about being vegan and apples and windows. I don't know. You gotta explain yourself more thoroughly, Lance. I don't know what you're talking about. Um, I respect Buddy McGirt, but he gave Callum Smith terrible instructions in the Better BF fight. I think Johnny Beck left Buddy McGirt for a reason. Think so? Oh, look, man, Buddy McGirt's a good coach. What instructions was Buddy McGirt supposed to give Callum Smith? Like, let's just be real. Sometimes you could be a great coach with a great boxing mind, but you got ultimately you got to work. You have to work with the fighter you got, right? And Callum Smith, good fighter, solid fighter, a little overrated in my opinion, but he was never he just it was always going to be a mismatch because Callum Smith is a tall fighter, not a high output fighter as far as his punch volume. He can crack for sure, but it wasn't gonna be anything. Like he just didn't have the boxing know-how to be able to land the type of shots he needed to land to beat a guy like Better BF, right? So he did the best with what he could. It wasn't enough, and yeah, I mean, what did you want him to do? Falling Star, where was this coming? He said, Here's another ammunition to help the Dodgers campaign. Tell Top Rank that Tokyo is second in the world with the most millionaires in a single city. Right promotion could bring them to the Dodgers Stadium. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'll run it by them. I'm sure they know all that. Like, they're pretty smart over there at Top Rank, but I'll run it by them. Truth be told, though, Falling Star, I hate the Dodgers. I can't stand the Dodgers. Outside the New York Mets in baseball, I can't stand the Dodgers. So, it's a nice stadium, though. I like Dodger Stadium, but yeah, I can't. The Dodgers are always one of those teams I can't tolerate because they're not. They're a big team, but like they don't win they don't win as often as they get hyped up. He told Smith to go to the body where his only chance was to catch Better BF on the chin. Look, that's the game plan. They listen. If it would have worked, we'd be saying that Buddy McGirt is the trainer of the year and he was a genius, but it didn't work, so he's not that good of a trainer, I guess. So it is what it is. I don't look. He could have. Callum Smith could have fought any game plan he wanted. Like, I just don't think there's much he could have did against Better BF. He didn't have the tools for that kind of a fight, honestly. And if you watched the John Ryder fight all those years ago, you already knew that because John Ryder doesn't have the skills, the boxing skills of Better BF. He's physically strong, but he's not as physically strong as Better BF. And you saw what he was able to do quickly, not like the whole fight, throughout every single round, and he got robbed, right? And that's why, but the John Ryder fight, the Canelo fight, these fights were already told us what the Better BF fight was going to be. You just had to, the people just had to listen. Arnaldo Nieves makes a great point, and Arnaldo, I want to be honest. I agree with your comment. He said, if they can or can't speak English, it's BS, bro. As fans, we are interested in the fight, not if they can speak the language or not. And I agree with you. Like, I'm with you on that. But I'm just telling you, when these promoters deal, you can choose to get mad at me or not. I'm just telling you how, from talking to promoters, I know, like, tons of managers. So I have conversations about them with fighters like Israel Madrimov and Otabek Komatov and these Uzbeks and these Kazakh fighters. I know how they think. And the mentality, the underlying thing that I continue to learn when they have prospects or even contenders and it comes time to fight one of these guys is they'll say like, oh, well, he doesn't have a big marketability or bring a lot of money to the table and one of the reasons is because they don't speak English. I'm just telling you the truth. So I'm with you. I don't really care if they can speak the language or not. I just want to see some great fights. I'm just here for the boxing. But that's not how they think. So that's why I'm saying that's one of the best ways they could try to combat that. That's just me. Is Jerron Ennis suing PBC? He's not suing PBC at all. He's suing Cameron Duncan's company. Cameron Duncan's dead now, so it don't matter to him. From dust you came, to dust you shall return, as the good book says. But Cameron Duncan's had a company called Now Boxing. It was his promotional company, and Ennis was locked into like one of these like 360 deals kind of type, like a lot of boxers get locked into these co-promotional deals, which are really just a fancy way of saying 360 deals, like you see in the music industry. He was signed to Cameron Duncan, right? as the great manager who also wanted having a promotional company later on in his life. But Karen Duncan's company, and then this other guy named Chris Middendorf, right, who was like a small time promoter. So he just settled out of the Middendorf contract in 2021. Now he's with Duncan, or now he's trying to get out the Duncan contract. Duncan's dead, right? So now Duncan's wife is running the company. So he's got to deal with her, but she's not really involved in boxing like that. So that's where he's at now. And I guess the part of the things that was highlighted in the contract was the fact that Boots was promised 4 fights a year. He never got 4 fights in any of the years he was signed under that contract. So he's suing up. He's suing for damages up to $1 million. So that's the pretty much the condensed summary I can give you on that situation. Matias, listen, Arnaldo, I'm with you, and that's why I'm so happy that Eddie Hearn signed Sabrina Matias, because if there was ever a fighter who I think hasn't been promoted properly, who I think would honestly just be, a star if he got the right promotion and the right backing, Sabrina Matias. He comes forward, he throws punches, he beats people up. He's gonna, and he's Puerto Rican. He's gonna sell. So I'm glad Eddie Hearn is doing right by Subriel Matias, or he signed him, and I think he will do it by Subriel Matias. I mean, look, straight off the bat, his first fight is going to be in the summer in Puerto Rico. He ain't done that at all these years that he was boxing on the PBC platform. He never got his own card in Puerto Rico, so now he's going to be in a title fight against Liam Paro out there in Puerto Rico. No date or venue confirmed, but that's what all the rumors are saying, and that's what Eddie Hearn's already hinting at. So I think just off that alone, that's more than anything that's been done in his career from like a promotional standpoint. And then he says, and I bet you that Matias will sell more than pay-per-views than Devin Haney. You'll see. Well, look, if he's able to be active and be in the right fights and perform well and really just rally the Puerto Rican fan base, then of course, Puerto Rican boxing. I feel like I've been talking about it I feel like since the entire existence of my channel, which has been a long time covering boxing. Damn near 10 years talking about boxing here on YouTube. Like, I feel like since the existence of my channel, I've been talking about who's gonna fill Miguel Cotto's shoes, who's gonna be that next Puerto Rican star. We've had guys over the years like Alberto Machado who didn't pan out, and plenty of other guys that didn't pan out. But he, to me, is a guy that could very easily pan out. He's fun to watch. He's got he talks trash. He ticks a lot of boxes. He just needs to be presented to more people, and I think that's what Eddie Hearn is gonna help accomplish for him. No problem, 1988 Eagles fan. Yeah, man, no problem, man. I know this legal stuff for boxing is crazy. I mean, I would like to see what these contracts. I would love to see what like Boots' original contract would look like when he signed with Duncan, because boxing contracts can be so long and lengthy. Like I was talking to a fighter here in Vegas. I interviewed him recently. You can check it out if you haven't already. I interviewed Sean Brewer. Shout out to Sean Brewer. Good prospect. Featherweight, spars my boy Angelo all the time. He was telling me that he got a contract offer with Team Combat League, and he said it's like 28 pages long. So you got to really read these contracts, get good lawyers. I feel like I've said it. It's been said many times in interviews with these fighters that pretty much having a good lawyer in boxing is just as important as having a good jab or a good right hand or a good feint. It's important, because you sign the wrong contract, you mess up. You lose some valuable time in your career. Shout out to my guy, longtime viewer Rocky Austin. He says, just saw the announcement on the Facebook that Gaballo versus Jason Maloney is in May on the undercard of Loma Cambosos. I predict both Australians will lose on that card. So Gaballo versus. Okay, so you got Gaballo against Maloney. That's the Maloney that fought. What's his name? Saul Sanchez. That's a good fight. I think he could beat Gaballo. Gaballo loads up on everything. He loads up on like all of his punches. And I think Maloney punches just hard enough to get his respect. That's a good fight. I like that fight. That's a good fight. We'll see how it goes. Shout out to Hyro. He says, I can't wait to see if Nochinga is more chinny than Chris Colbert. See, I'm glad. Thank you, Hyro. At least you're finally getting excited about them guys at 108. You always shit on me for getting excited about the guys at 108, 112, 115. So that's what's gonna take you to get excited about what's gonna be a really fun rematch. Then I'm all for it. I'm game. I'm good. Thank you. I'm glad. Isn't it crazy that Julio Cesar Martinez is with PBC? He ran his ass to yeah. Which is crazy because in them weight classes, who is he gonna fight? Like the only guy he could fight around his weight is Puma, Fernando Puma Martinez. Other than that, like there's nothing really for him. So I know he's fighting Angelina Cordova, who's a good little fighter. But man, Martinez, I think he missed the boat because he's been champion for a long time. I remember his name was really buzzing like 2020, 2021. He should have fought like a lot of other guys, but he fought Romo Gonzalez. He made good money from that. Got his ass beat by him, but would have been cool to see him fight like Sonny Edwards or one of these kind of guys before he lost. Yeah. Look, I would be very shocked. I mean, Eddie Hearn has had some he's failed, promoting some guys here on this side of the Atlantic. But I would be shocked if the Matias thing doesn't work out well for him. It'd be one of the only times where I can honestly say if Eddie Hearn doesn't get this right, I'd be shocked. Because it's just like it's not hard. Like Matias can fight. Matias is fun to watch. He's a champion. He's from a country where if the fighters do well, they normally sell well. All he has to do is just beat Eddie Hearn and just talk a bunch about him and say that these guys don't want to fight him and this, that, and the third. And then as long as he performs, it's gonna be okay. By the way, guys, I was talking to Carmel Moen today. Going back to Carmel Moen, 'cause I was talking about him earlier. He's gonna be on that Tim Tszyu Keith Thurman card. He actually said it today in my interview. So looking for hopefully like Mayweather Promotions they keep putting him as a swing bout. And the reason he said they put him as a swing bout is because they wanted more people in the stands when he fought. But that's kind of weird because like swing bouts are always after the main event. And look, I know how fight culture is when for people that go to fights like here in America. Like people don't want to sit at the main event. People want to go party. They want to go drink. They want to go eat. They want to go have a night out in the town. They don't want to stay extra longer, right? So I would like to see him get on the TV portion. He don't got to be co-main event or anything like that. But just get the kid on TV. Get him some real shine. It don't got to be prelims, but maybe he could be the opener. I think people need to see him fight because he's a real good, young talent. Jesus wants to know, what are you eating in Vegas? There's nothing like a home cooked meal. Oh shit, I heard that, man. I miss some home cooking, but I've been all over the place. One of the things that I had with my boy Eric, a couple nights ago, we went to this Indian spot, and he loves Indian food. We had we had pakoras. We had like soup. What else? What else we have? I've had my days where I've been, bit of a fat ass. I went to there's this place here in Vegas that I love. It's this ice cream spot, and I go there all the time. I went there twice. It's called CJ's. I went there twice. Today I went to Nevada Chicken Kitchen. Been all over the place trying to stay healthy. I had, yesterday, as I stated to you guys yesterday on yesterday's live. Yesterday morning, I was a degenerate. I had breakfast at Hooters. I mean, who the hell has breakfast at Hooters? This guy. So, I do miss the cooking at home, but I'm making it do what it do. Tell me your perspective about a Matias fight versus Crybaby Tio. Well, I can tell you don't like Tio, but to me, that's a fight that should be happening next. I wish it would have happened. I wish that fight would have happened in June instead of Matias versus Paro. But I think it's a very winnable fight for both guys, especially Tio. Like everyone keeps getting on Tio. They say, "Oh, he's inconsistent," and he is inconsistent, but they don't understand why he's inconsistent. And I want to talk about that for a second because it's not that he's inconsistent; it's why he's inconsistent because. It's all about styles. The styles make fights, and the range in which fighters are most accustomed to fighting in, that's what also makes a fight. So, you look at Teofimo's most successful performances, like Josh Taylor, come forward guy, likes to operate at the high guard. Lomachenko, a smaller guy who we could kind of get off on earlier. Most of the time, the guys that Teofimo Lopez has looked great against, like the Comeys, the Lomachenkos, the Josh Taylors, these guys fight in a style that allows Teofimo Lopez to fight on, more so at mid range. But when he has to fight guys from the outside, when he has to fight guys on the inside, when he has to cut off the ring, so the fights like Masayoshi Nakatani, Sandor Martin, those guys, he had to do those things. He couldn't fight in the mid range as much, and that's why he didn't look so good. So in fighting on Matias, I think Matias fights a style where he will get more opportunities to fight in the mid range than he did against, let's say, Jermaine Ortiz, who was constantly circling the ring. I think it's one of the best, and quite possibly it might be the best fight to make in the division as far as from like an excitement standpoint. It's a unification fight. Both guys have a lot to prove for different reasons. I think it'd be great. I would honestly, believe it or not, lean slightly towards Subriel Matias. I know most people probably say Tio. I will lean more towards Subriel Matias, because one thing about Tio is, when he gets pushed back and he has to like really fight that back foot, it's not really his thing. It's not really the best thing he could do. And then the thing is, I don't think Teofimo Lopez feints or does all the subtle. He doesn't do the subtle things to open a guy up. Like when you fight Matias, you're gonna have to feint him to like open him up a little bit, and that's not really like Teofimo's like strong point. So I think Matias is gonna have plenty of chances to put him on the back foot and break him down and beat him up and do those kind of things. And it's a good fight. But I could also see Teofimo Lopez counter punching the brakes off Subriel Matias. So make it happen. That's my perspective on it. Next Gen Combat says, "What's good, BT? When you're analyzing a fighter, when you're analyzing what a fighter does, and say they're fighting a southpaw next, do you only study how they performed against southpaws or their most recent performances, regardless of stance?" So when I study a fighter, whether it be in the gym, watching sparring, or on TV, or I like to always look at a fighter's habits. So what I'll normally do is I will watch fights from different stages of a fighter's career. So I'll give you an example, right? Recently, the other night, I was watching a bunch of film on Otabek Komatov and Raymond Ford, because that's a fight that I'm very excited about. I watched fights from every single part of Raymond Ford's career. Like, I'm talking like prospect Raymond Ford, his last fight, sparring. And I don't necessarily look so much. I do look at the styles, but it's more so like their habits. Like for example, like if a straight right hand is thrown at them, which side do they like to slip their head to? Do they feint? Do they react to feints? Are they a volume puncher? These are just little things. How do they react when they get clinched on the inside? I look for habits, and then I also look at to see, okay, now if they have certain habits, can the fighter they're fighting, do their habits, does it mesh to the point where like they can capitalize on the habits of the other fighter? That's how I study fighters. You look for habits, you look for tendencies. But yeah, as far as what you said though, like if they fought a lot of southpaws, or like if they're fighting a specific style, you do look for to see, did they do good against that style, and what level of difficulty did they have in that fight, But mostly for me, it's all about the habits, Do you think Jaron Ennis should stay at PBC? He's going to fight Barrios, and they're... Well, if I'm going off of what Steven Espinosa said, Ennis was never with... Ennis ain't with PBC, because Espinosa was saying, well, he was never with PBC. So, that's like... I think Ennis really just needs to get out. He needs to just, this whole contractual thing he's in, he needs to just get through it and go ahead and just put it behind him, because I know legal things like this could really eat at a fighter's love for the sport and kill their activity. And so that's the next thing you got to worry about. And just go to the gym, stay sharp, try to improve, and keep a good attitude. Point fire. I ordered Sunny Side Up, but like the waitress, the girl I was talking about yesterday, if you watched yesterday's live, she wound up screwing up my order, and they were scrambled eggs. So I'm like, Okay. Hyro says, I hope Jerron Ennis doesn't sign with Eddie. Jerron Ennis is becoming a casual fan favorite. Eddie can't promote, man. Uh, you've been saying he can't sell tickets, or the dude can't sell tickets, or you've been to his fights. The dude can't sell tickets. Jerron Ennis. Yeah, I was here in Vegas when he fought Delorme in 2021 at the Mandalay Bay. Wasn't a packed crowd, but at the same time, to be fair to Boots, he wasn't the main event either. The main event was Boutier versus Jamal James. He was co-main. I'm definitely curious to see how Ford handles really just Odebek's jab because it's stiff and it's a stiff jab. Um, it's a really good jab. It's an educated jab. I'm really intrigued to see how he slips it. I'll be honest, and I'm not like, and I already know how this is. Like I might say something on any one of these lives about Raymond Ford, and it might get clipped to get back to him, and he'll complain on social media like he always does. So if that happens, it is what it is. But like I was going back and I was watching him fight, and I was looking to see like all his strengths, right? And one thing I saw with Ford, and I'm gonna do a whole like this fight is gonna get a whole 30-minute, 40-minute breakdown for me, because that's how much I've been studying this fight. Ford has a reputation for being a slick fighter, which when he's not fighting volume punchers, he is. When Ford is able to sit there on the outside, dictate the pace, he's as slick as he wants to be. But if you look at his fights against Aaron Perez, if you look at his fights against Edward Vasquez, when the pressure is put on him and the volume's turned up, his slickness isn't quite what it is when he, like in the fights against Magdaleno or Sicario Lucas. So when I watched the fight Edward Vasquez, which I don't want to hold a bad performance against the kid. He's a good fighter, but one thing that really shocked me was how easy he was to time. Because generally, if you're a slick fighter, like Ford, you're not really the easiest to time. And I thought that he was very easy to time in that fight. Vasquez isn't a guy that's the fastest. He's not like the quickest. And he was very easy to time. Now, I thought he rebounded nicely. Like in his career, he beat Sicario Lucas, who was ranked. He beat Magdaleno, who was a former champion. But let's be real. Like, take the names aside. Take the names and the bureaucracy of boxing aside. Style-wise, Magdaleno was an older fighter on the way out who was more of a southpaw counterpuncher. That's a perfect style matchup for Raymond Ford. Raymond Ford will always have a great chance to beat any counterpuncher. Remember, I told you that. Anybody who's just a pure counterpuncher, I give Ford a great chance to beat any of them because he's able to sit there and be cute and defensively maneuver and do what he wants to. And he does have a little pop. It's just that he's not a big volume puncher, so he picks his shots when to really load up on his shots. But he just doesn't have a good history with volume punches. Now, Odebek Komatov isn't just a volume puncher. He's got more dimension to him than just like a Vasquez or Perez. He's a guy that, yes, he puts pressure on you. Yes, his jab's consistent, but I could actually see Odebek outboxing Raymond Ford in this fight, honestly. People may think that's crazy, but he's got the jab to do it. That's why it's a really interesting fight because I could see every scenario playing out. I've said from the minute this fight got signed that I think the difference in the fight is going to be the fact that Ford's gas tank he's always been a front runner, a guy that was good for 4 rounds. Once you get into the 5th, 6th, 7th, he starts blowing out of his ass and he just doesn't fight as hard. That's what he's been in his career thus far, and I can't go off on nothing than what I've seen. Now, obviously, he's the ultimate decider. He can show what he can do, and then if he does, I have to sit here and humble myself. But that's those are some of the things I'm feeling. Next Gen says they call any black boxer that jabs and takes half a step back slick if we're being. Yeah, they do. They do. They call Stephen Fowen slick. Like Stephen Fowen is a good fighter, but I wouldn't call him slick. Like there's only a handful of guys that are truly slick, like in boxing these days, and like them guys ain't that. What do you think the hardest skill is in boxing? I think is the distance control. There's no certainty and always second guessing if you're. I think the hardest skill in boxing to master would be, distance control, but more specifically, I think like staying composed in the pocket, like when you're in there and punches are being thrown at you. Just the fighters that really like impress me the most are the ones that can stay in the pocket and remain calm. Just I think being calm and knowing when to up the punch output, knowing when to slow it down. Just I think composure is the most impressive thing to me in boxing. Ring awareness. They call any black boxer that moves around and has no punching power a slick. They do. They do that. Cause like they don't know how like, and I don't want to put nobody down, but they can't fathom a world where it's possible that a guy who tries to be overly defensive actually really isn't that great defensively and can't punch. So he doesn't really do anything great. He's in there doing a whole bunch of nothing. There are fighters like that. There are fighters that have the reputation for being slick, but really it's just more so overly maneuvering themselves. And then when they fight someone who's a volume puncher who has any bit of boxing IQ, then they know that they lose. Because there's a fine line between being slick and being, overly maneuvering yourself out the way, I think. Avoiding conflict. Yeah, you said it best, Next Gen. They be out here avoiding conflict, avoiding the smoke. Stance. Yeah, I think stance is very important because you got to have a good base when you're pivoting and punching and these kind of things. A lot of fighters, they don't even get that right. They can't even get the stance part right of their skill set. And that's why everything else gets screwed up, Let's see, guys. We're 66 minutes in. We'll go like 4 more minutes, and then I'm going to get up on out of here because I need some rest. But get your questions in. Smash that like button, super chat, all that good stuff. We here, man. Day number 26. Another like real thing. I just think a fighter too who can feint. I feel like fainting is a lost art because a lot of guys, they just want to attack, and they don't know how to feint. They don't know how to feint downstairs and step off. They don't know how to do none of that stuff. Yeah, I'd say positioning like Inoue is always a position to strike, defend, or just get out of range. Yeah, he's great at that. And Carmel Moen, I was watching him today, man. I watched him spar like 10 rounds today. I mean, he's great at that. Amazing at that. Can we watch Paid in Full, Hyro? I love Paid in Full, Hyro. I'd love to watch it with you, but if I stay awake at all, it'll just be to get work done. I'm so backed up with content to do that, I gotta really get some stuff done, especially after today because I did 2 interviews, so I'm gonna have to respectfully pass. He says, why does Ian Green remind me of Ace Boogie for Paid in Full? I don't know, man. Shout out to Ian Green though, that's my guy. Hopefully. I hope at some point he get his chance at the top middleweights in the world, and it ain't too bad being compared to Ace and Paid in Full. He's the only one who survived. Everyone else died and went to jail, and that's how it went in real life. AZ Faison, he's the only one who's allowed to tell the story. Alpo dead, Rich Porter, dead. So yeah, but guys, look on that note. I think I'm going to get ready to wrap it up. Tomorrow, I will be in LA for the Golden Boy card, so stay tuned for all the content there. Stay tuned for all the content, like all the interviews. I've got like 4 or 5 interviews, I think 6 interviews I haven't even put out yet. So I got to edit all those and get them out to you. But, yeah, so watch that Golden Boy card tomorrow. A couple more questions, then we'll get out. We'll get out of here. Falling Star says, did you see Inoue's part 2 of his Ring Magazine interview? He said featherweight is the last division, and yeah, I did see that, and I think that's beautiful. That's great because now we don't got to hear about Inoue fighting Joe Cordina or Shockey Foster. I think that's a great way for him to go out being a featherweight. It's a great weight class. There's a lot of great fights for him there. You got guys like Angelo Leo, Bruce Carrington, Ruben Villa. The Americans. You got Rafael Espinoza, Venado Lopez. And just a whole host of fighters, Odebek Komatov, you got Raymond Ford, there's no shortage of great fights there from at featherweight. So I think he's moving the right way. Can Ian Green beat Ammo Williams? Yes, I think so. Ammo's good, he's very explosive, but I think Ian's very experienced, and Ian Green is actually doing his best boxing now at this stage of his career. Can body punch, he's extremely tough. I think Ammo, from what all these years watching him fight, I don't think Ammo can fight off his back foot. I think Ammo's a fighter that is winning a lot of these fights just based off of athleticism. And I honestly don't even think Ammo fully knows what he's doing in there, but he's just so explosive and so good and so athletic that it's gotten to this point now where he's knocking on the door of the middleweight world title shot. So that to me is one of the best fights that could be made in the middleweight division, but I just don't think it'll get made. I like it to get made, but yeah. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be at the Golden Boy card, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for all the content. Maybe tomorrow I don't go live. Maybe I get Pops to go live for the Golden Boy card or something like that. But look, I'm gonna get up on out of here. You guys be blessed. Hopefully you enjoyed your Valentine's Day. Don't. I know it's like 9 o'clock here on the West Coast. If it's late at night and you're feeling lonely, don't message none of these girls anything stupid. Don't play yourself. Respect yourself. And on that note, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys take care. Like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding, Daniel. So until next time, take care.